Boris pays the price after ridiculous party fiasco exposed lead to his not-so-sincere apology. Tory MP Brendan Clarke-Smith said that Boris Johnson's apology for his party fiasco in May 2020 will be accepted by some, but others still want him to face justice if found guilty of breaching lockdown regulations. Conservative MP Brendan Clarke-Smith warned Boris Johnson that having apologised to the British public for attending the garden party may not be enough to clear his name. Mr. Clarke-Smith reiterated that Mr. Johnson hasn't dodged any punishment, as he urged the investigations to be revisited. He also clarified that only a minority of people will be content with the Prime Minister's decision to clear the air and finally admit his wrongdoing. A recent Snap poll showed 66% of respondents back Boris Johnson's resignation, but Mr. Clarke-Smith suggested some might have been won over once again by the apology. For the second time in recent weeks, the Prime Minister has been forced to do the thing that no politician, and certainly no Prime Minister, ever wants to do: say sorry. Last December, he did exactly the same thing in an attempt to draw the sting from the disclosure of a video, in which his senior aide, Allegra Stratton, was filmed joking with other officials about a party in the Downing Street Media Centre. This time, the allegations are more serious, and the jeopardy facing Johnson greater. It showed on his ashen face as he began delivering his statement to a packed and silent House of Commons. Johnson's critics, in his own party and on the opposition benches, have certainly contributed to, and reflected, the rage Johnson described. But they are unlikely to believe his claim that he has now learned enough to know that mistakes were made. In recent days it has become clear that the 20th of May party in 2020 raised alarm bells for some Number 10 staff at the time. They were worried then about the dissonance between what the government was asking people to do, and how people in Whitehall were conducting themselves. And though he said he didn't want to anticipate the conclusions of the current inquiry by the senior civil servant Sue Gray, that's exactly what he was doing, in the hope, perhaps, an apology now will help to dampen the criticism coming his way. The Conservative MP suggested some people may be swayed into reconsidering their position because of the apology Mr. Johnson offered, but reiterated an inquiry into the allegations is also an important part to assess whether rules were broken. He said, "I think some people will be satisfied with the apology, certainly. I think the wider issues, I think about parties and investigations, I do think that needs to be revisited. If people have broken the rules and the investigation says that, then I'd expect heads to roll obviously with that. The Prime Minister has given his case. I think the public wants to see people treated fairly. They stuck to the rules, the vast majority of people did. The Prime Minister claims that he did. We have this grey area, of course. The leader of the opposition has used the workplace defence with having a drink and so on before. I didn't criticise over that because I understand there is that grey area." He added, "But at the same time the public really know the difference between what is an actual party as well, and if it is shown that there has been a party, you'd expect something to be done about that." Chris Bryant, who is the former deputy leader of the House of Commons, was more damning in his verdict, taking a scathing swipe at Mr. Johnson for thinking that his excuse that he was unaware to be at a social event would really wash with Britons. He said, "How stupid does the Prime Minister think the British people are? So, the Prime Minister didn't spot that he was at a social event. That's the excuse, isn't it? Come off it. I mean, how stupid does the Prime Minister think the British people are? The worst of it is he's already managed to completely destroy Allegra Stratton's career, he's tarnished the reputation of Lord Gate, and now he's making fools of every single MP who cheered him earlier, every single one who goes out on the radio and television to defend this shower of shenanigans. Would it not be absolutely despicable if, in the search for a scapegoat, some junior member of staff ends up losing their job, but he kept his?